I want you to think about something for a moment. Not a big life decision. Not the kind of decision that changes the direction of your entire life. Just something small. Maybe earlier today, you decided what to eat. Maybe you chose what music to play in the car. Maybe you decided to sit down and listen to this instead of doing something else. Now, here's the strange part. When you made that choice, it probably felt like it came from you. It felt like there were different options and you picked one. But what if that feeling isn't actually proof of freedom? What if every decision you've ever made, every word you've spoken, every mistake you regret was always going to happen exactly the way it did? Not because of fate, not because of destiny, but because the universe itself might work like a chain reaction that started long before you existed. The idea sits at the center of one of the oldest debates in philosophy, the conflict between free will and determinism. And if determinism is true, then the story of your life may have been unfolding long before you were born. Imagine rewinding your life, not just years, but decades, before you existed, before your parents met, before they were even born. Your personality, your instincts, the way you react to stress, the things you fear, the things you love, all of that has roots. Some of it comes from genetics, some from childhood experiences, some from the culture you grew up in, some from moments you barely even remember. Think about the way a single conversation can change someone. A teacher who believed in you, a stranger who insulted you, a moment of humiliation, a moment of encouragement. Those things leave marks. And over time, those marks shape the person you become. So when you make a decision today, it doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from the version of you that was shaped by thousands of previous events. Your mind is like a river, and that river has been flowing for a long time. Let's picture something simple. A long line of dominoes. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands. You push the first domino. It falls into the next one, then the next, and then the next. Once the first one falls, the rest follow automatically. You don't need to keep pushing. The chain reaction continues on its own. Now imagine the universe working the same way. One event causes another. Every moment leads to the next moment. If you could rewind the universe all the way back to the beginning, to the first moments after the Big Bang, and then let everything play out again, would it unfold the exact same way? Would every decision still happen exactly as it did? Would you still be here, listening to this, at this exact moment? Determinism says the answer might be yes, because if the starting conditions were identical, then the chain reaction would unfold the same way, like dominoes. But here's the problem with determinism. It doesn't match how life feels. Because when we make choices, we experience something very specific. We experience possibility. We feel like we could do one thing or another. You might think about texting someone and then decide not to. You might consider saying something and stopping yourself at the last second. Those moments feel like forks in the road, paths that could go different directions, but determinism suggests something unsettling. The fork in the road might only be an illusion, because the path you took may have been the only path you were ever going to take. Even if it didn't feel that way, your brain weighed the options, your experiences influenced the outcome, your personality leaned toward one decision over another, and in the end, the domino fell the only way it could. Let's try a thought experiment. Imagine a machine, not just any computer, but a machine powerful enough to understand every detail about you. It knows your memories, your fears, your habits, your childhood, even your genetic makeup. It understands your brain so well that it can simulate exactly how you think. Now imagine this machine makes a prediction. It says that tomorrow at exactly 2:13 p.m., you will stand up, walk to the kitchen, and pour yourself a glass of water. You hear the prediction ahead of time, so tomorrow comes, and at 2:12 p.m., you think to yourself, I'm not doing that. You cross your arms, you stay seated, you refuse to stand up. You repeat the prediction, right? But now imagine something else. Imagine that machine predicted that too. It predicted that hearing the prediction would trigger defiance, It predicted the moment you would cross your arms, the moment you would decide to prove it wrong. Even your rebellion might have been predictable. And if that's possible, then the question becomes uncomfortable. How much of what you call choice is just the result of process happening beneath your awareness? This question matters more than it might seem, because the idea of free will sits underneath almost everything in society: justice, morality, responsibility. If someone commits a crime, we assume they could have chosen differently. If someone acts heroically, we admire them because we believe they made a meaningful choice. But again, if determinism is true, then every person is the result of a long chain of causes they didn't create: their family, their biology, their circumstances, their trauma, their environment. Suddenly, the line between villain and victim becomes a little less clear. Some philosophers argue that understanding should make us more compassionate, because it forces us to recognize how deeply circumstances shape human behavior. But others worry that if we abandon the idea of freedom entirely, then the concept of responsibility might collapse entirely. Interestingly enough, many philosophers believe the answer might not be one extreme or the other. They argue that freedom doesn't mean being completely independent from causes. It means acting according to your own reasoning, your own desires, your own values, even if those things were shaped by the past. In other words, you might not control where the river started, but you still participate in where it flows next. Your thoughts still matter. Your reflections still matter. Your ability to pause and reconsider still matters. And maybe that kind of freedom, imperfect as it is enough. So here's the strange thing about this entire question. Right now, you're about to make another decision. You'll decide what to do next. Maybe you'll keep thinking about this idea. Maybe you'll forget about it in 5 minutes. Maybe you'll tell someone about it later. Whatever you choose, it will feel like your decision. And maybe it is. Or maybe that decision has been quietly forming for years, shaped by everything that has ever happened to you. Either way, the next domino is about to fall. And the strange part is, you are both the domino and the one pushing it.